smaller. Over the intervening decades, it's established itself. It now looks like the original tree, and that the old Palmyra tree is just a little stick sticking out. But what Bhagavan did was he looked at this arrangement of a very small seed from a tree taking over the host, strangling it and throttling it, and compared it to the grace of the Guru. This is what he had to say in a story he narrated to T.K. Sundaresha Iyer, who accompanied him on this particular trip. Drawing our attention to this phenomenon, Bhagavan remarked that this is just what the look of grace from a jnani does. One look into a soul, and the whole tree of past tendencies and prejudices, gathered up through long cycles of past births, is burned up and decays away. Then the reality of the self is experienced. Thus he explained to us the effect of contact with the great, and he said that the supreme jnana, obtained with the touch of the saint, can never be won through the study of any number of scriptures, or by any store of good deeds, or by any other spiritual practices or efforts. Now, I'll refer to Bhagavan touching people later, but there are 2 points here. The first is the analogy which T.K. Sundaresha Iyer said that Bhagavan had mentioned, which isn't really fully brought out in this account. He said the Palmyra tree has very large nuts, almost the size of a coconut, and it represents the ego. The ego is selfish. It has a very long, thin trunk and some very, very little tiny leaves at the top and gigantic nuts. Whereas he said the banyan tree has a tiny, tiny seed, and that tiny, tiny seed is enough to grow into the Palmyra tree, which represents the mind and the ego, take it over, strangle it, throttle it, until, as you see now, only banyan tree remains. Here the banyan represents the Guru, his power, and the seed he plants into your mind is the seed which grows up, kills your mind, and eventually puts you in the same state as the Guru.